know there's something in the darkness eating at your unrest, making you look.
What's up, everybody? It's Rollo from the Music District, and get ready for this artist spotlight. The extraordinary talent, Emma Miller. She is among the sweetest, kindest, and brightest stars in the Web3 community, to me anyway, and I'm sure to a lot others too. And hailing from the enchanting landscapes of Scotland, I am honored to have her in the Music District on Artist Spotlight. Emma's musical odyssey is a captivating saga filled with passion, innovation, and an endless well of creativity, all set to her melodious tune of her soulful piano playing, which you could find on her Discord channel and on YouTube, that she does these live events each week. So definitely be sure to check that out on emmamiller.xyz. So with over a decade of musical mastery under her belt, Emma has garnered the praise from both critics and all of her fans alike. She's mesmerizing audiences, especially me, with her enchanting voice and her spellbinding piano performances. But her journey does not stop there. Emma's pioneering spirit has propelled her in the avant-garde realm of music NFTs, where she's made waves with her projects such as Artifacts, UK's #1 premier music NFT collection. Selling out 5 other collections is also just the tip of the iceberg for this amazing artist, showcasing her groundbreaking impact on the blockchain and Web3 music. So as we embark on this artist spotlight with all of you on this very special one-on-one interview with Emma Miller, Emma is poised to unveil some insights, perspective, and some projects that she's set to redefine the very essence of her musical expression. So you are not going to want to miss this. So whether or not you're a seasoned aficionado, a newcomer to her music, and Web3, or maybe you never witnessed a Music District artist spotlight, get ready to be swept away. So stay tuned to the Music District for exclusive updates. Dive headfirst into this revolutionary world of Web3 music with Emma Miller. Again, on emmamiller.xyz. So join us in celebrating these pivotal moments in Web3 music together. For together, we're not just witnessing this change, we're the architects of this new musical renaissance. So as we dive deep into Emma's journey and other artists' journey, please hit that like button. Please hit that share button. That little action helps our algorithm to substantially help the artists that we are looking to promote on a global stage. So thank you very much for your continued support, and definitely check us out at musicdistrict.io. This is Rollo. Stay positive. How you doing?
Well, I could have been a lot later because I'm still trying to catch up to the clocks going back or forward at your end, but not at our end. So I always think we're 5 hours apart, but now we're only 4 hours apart.
Is that way? Where are you right now?
Scotland.
Oh my God.
It's 8 p.m. here. Normally it's 9 p.m. when we meet at 4 EST.
Wow.
So I'm glad I didn't completely balls up, but yeah, I am really sorry for
running
don't
over.
Sweat it,
Emma. You're the best. You know what I think about you. I have nothing but
back at you.
Good vibes. You know what I mean? I've actually created for you an Emma Miller theater, to which we'll see on the broadcast. It's pretty cool. And it's just a real good way to engage with, I guess, viewers, to get them a little bit more acclimated into Web3 visually. You know, sort of that, for me, I believe it's that, what do you want to call it? Like that fading. You know, you slowly start introducing it to what the Web3 is to Web2, and you do it first and foremost visually. But yeah, I was watching some of your videos, and Honey, I love Honey. I love all those songs, you know, but the scene. But before we get into this, let's introduce everybody, let everybody know what's going on. We have Emma Miller, and it's emmamiller.xyz, right, Emma?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Emma, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody, as, again, just to reiterate and to help you better understand where we're at, right? So the Music District is a broadcast company, and we've grown since day one, right? We're not really essentially a Web3 company or even a platform, which a lot of people think we are. We're not. We're a broadcast company. And the idea is to promote and support Web3 artists. That's our niche, Web3 music, and to broadcast these artist spotlights and your music across a Web3 network that we created from the ground up. And that Web3 network that we've now created extends our single live stream across 50 social platforms, 100 virtual environments, 8 metaverses, 46 radio stations across 55 countries. And that's growing as we spend more and more time creating partnerships to build the Web3 network up. So what we'll do is we're going to take this artist spotlight, help promote you, support you, get your music heard outside of the singular platform and community to which you are doing an amazing job in. It's now we're trying to get more people to find you as a music discovery channel, the Music District on the Vita TV network inside of Decentraland. Others. So why don't you just quickly introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what's up?
Yeah, for sure. So, as Rael said, my name is Emma Miller, and I'm an indie singer-songwriter from Scotland. And I currently have the largest music NFT collection in the UK, which I launched last April and sold out in May. And that has become my kind of Web3 ecosystem for delivering a lot of experiences and utility to my community. And I release kind of different types of music on the blockchain. I enjoy exploring multiple blockchains. I don't feel like I'm a maxi of any in particular. And I'm just kind of trying to cultivate community and that direct experience with my fan base within Web3.
What initially drew you into Web3? Because you were, I mean, obviously we all start as Web2. So what was that final straw for you to say, I'm going in?
I think it was similar for a lot of people, but during the pandemic, the live scene shut down. Music was having like a bit of a precarious moment. And I was already in a place where I was thinking about going into other things anyway. So it all kind of culminated where I was ready to stop trying to pursue music as a career. And just as that happened, my friend Josh Savage introduced me to Twitter Spaces. And I just kind of got the addiction for performing on Twitter Spaces every night. And yeah, it was just a moment of I've got nothing to lose, and this seems really different to what I've been doing for the last several years.
You became a DJ. And how long have you been in Web3 for now?
2 years, I would say.
Same here. Yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I remember when we hung out in NFT NYC, and you're going to be here again this year as well, right? So we'll see each other again.
I am. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's a good hang.
It's always a good hang.
Yeah.
I always have so much fun. Now, you mentioned, what is it, Artifacts, and it was the #1 NFT, right, in the UK. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because I'm wondering, in 2 years, from the start of you coming into Web3 to having one of these successful projects like Artifacts, and what is the title? It's the #1 NFT in the UK, or most sold? What is the right way to say that?
I always go by it's the largest music NFT collection because I've got some friendly banter with Josh, who is also a UK product. And I would say he's got a really successful music NFT project called Love Letters. So we kind of, during me selling out Artifacts, he was up for me like using him as some clickbait for how can we beat Josh. So I would never want to say #1, but it is a larger collection than this.
Yeah, and let me tell you, Emma, there's no other artist that I'd rather listen to when I'm driving on these long roads than your albums. I was listening to hold on a second. I was just yesterday. It was The Sail Away and Low Light.
Nice.
Yeah, those two songs. I was just like, vibing. It's a vibe. Prior to you coming into Web3, how would you say your community was compared to now? And has people from Web2 come over to you in Web3 as well?
Yeah, I didn't feel a sense of community in Web2, really. I kind of had that traditional, maybe narrow mindset of the fan and the artist.
Yeah.
So I would go to gigs and I perform, but there wasn't like the motivation to connect afterwards or to, and I know that like tons of people do that, tons of artists cultivate like radical grassroots movements with their fans, but I just hadn't had that ingrained into me as being like come and like talk to everybody, or maybe I was too shy, or just I didn't think people would be that interested in me off of the stage. And that's kind of how I felt. It felt like at a distance. And in terms of people coming over, I think most people that have discovered me in like traditional means or have come to gigs of mine, some of them will be on like my newsletter, so they kind of get glimpses of this Web3 world that I'm in. And I think there's been an educational aspect there where they're starting to maybe like I'm their line of communication into that world. And I think that's a potential funnel to take people over. But really my core group are very much Web3. Although in this last year, another place I've tried to cultivate quite a like niche community is on Patreon, because it's got that same model of you're like a community within a community. Like you really just want to be in the music niche. So I've got a real mix of like Web2 and Web3 people there as well.
That's interesting. Do you think that when you do perform, like say during NFT NYC, if you were to say, okay, who is here from my non-Web3 community?
Oh, first of that would be zero, because I'd be in the States and I've never toured or performed there like outside of Web3 stuff. So I wouldn't. Actually, I've probably got some people from socials, but I would never expect them to turn up at NFT NYC.
Yeah, I mean, you should give it a shot just to see what that radar signal is. I think that's where the onboarding, I feel, especially during events like NFT NYC or other, festivals that we go to, it gives such a great opportunity to onboard people, to show them that, we're just the energy behind what Web3 is. It's the community. It's really like a digital family. I mean, from the morning we wake up to until the minute we go to bed, on Spaces and hanging out and talking and doing these types of interviews. You mentioned something about, education, like educating a lot of your followers with Web3. Have you participated in any educational initiatives like an onboard or anything to share that knowledge about Web3, or maybe how you stream, which you do really, really well at? I think you have over 60 videos right now on your YouTube channel. Yeah.
I'm smiling because anyone talking about tech and me is just like not a sentence that should ever go together.
Well, you think it really good.
Yeah. But maybe I'm a good example of like, you don't need to be like a geek, or not even a geek, but actually smart or knowledgeable about the niche that you're working in. Just like, I honestly couldn't explain the internet to anybody, but I use it every day.
Yeah.
Or I couldn't explain like how my credit card makes a transaction, but I use it every day. So it's like being able to understand the use case. And I think you touched on a great point, is if only people could come and experience what we all know the culture is, that is a fast track to embracing the tech that we're using, because it can be really dry. And talking about things like NFT NYC, it can be really dry going to conferences or just being flooded with the information. But when you get to feel the thing and just experience the like music for one, I think is a great line. And yeah, education, it's something that I started off this year thinking I really want to own this more. And there's a bit of hesitancy, especially with things like Instagram, where I don't feel like I fully show what I'm building, because I have this mindset of like, this is a Web2 platform, whereas Twitter, although it's the same Web2 social media, it's got that like ease of kind of knowing that this is where the Web3 gang hang out. So that's on my mission, is to start opening up. And last week, I was on a panel discussion at Glasgow University for the blockchain, and hosted by a company called Blockstart that are doing the very first conference in Scotland this summer, which I'm also speaking at. So I'm very up for and in my happy place speaking in front of the public and talking about everything that we're doing. And it's always a reminder of how much you know. Like, as soon as you get in front of someone that isn't so familiar with the space or the tech, you just start understanding the knowledge base that each of us have within ourselves. And we are the best advocates to go out there and start kind of gently educating maybe that person that you know is a little bit curious.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice. And so, any Web2 artists that are out there, and having you, it's funny, having your name associated with technology was kind of like a joke to you. But for somebody on the outside, seeing what you do, hearing you say that might give a little bit of relief, from your own perspective, right? So
yeah, I hope so.
I mean, I think that's what we have to continuously impress upon, as we start onboarding more and more artists. One of the things I'm really dying to ask you is just, look, I'm at a point in my life where I'm that being, out, whether it, by the water or in open spaces, for me is such a relief, quick, silent moment outside, and I find those spaces that I'm searching for to be bigger and bigger. And when I had saw some of your videos, I think low light with that ocean was one, and then the other one, honey, I think it was, when you were on the bike. Were those taken in Scotland, and how does that location of where you are affect your music? And do you think it would affect your writing if you lived in a more busier place like New York?
Yeah, so those videos are from my family home up in the northeast of Scotland. So you kind of go through the Highlands and then you get to Murrayshire, which is all beaches and forests. And I filmed all of that during lockdown times. So usually I would collaborate with a videographer or photographer, but I did a completely DIY EP, which is my Set Me Down EP. So the one of Honey, which I think I saw you share with me, that was, I put a camera on the back of my mum's car and she drove away and I cycled behind her. So it was like the most DIY you could get.
That's great.
And 100%, I think the landscape influences me. Even in Edinburgh, which is the capital of Scotland, there's so much countryside in Edinburgh. Like, there's a mountain in the city that I can take my dog up. And as you get older and as I travel, and especially in the last couple of years, traveling more internationally, you do start understanding your identity way more when you start meeting people that aren't from the same place as you. And even just with my art, I think having that reflected back to me, there's a lot more little Celtic inflections or the presence of nature or nature references that I think are mainly subconscious. I don't feel like I'm drawing on the landscape as I write, but it's just what's at the surface for me.
It's funny. I believe that you are. Right? Because your frequency, your energy, your words, your inflection, it's almost perfect with the scene of almost what you're filming it in. That you've opened up my awareness to looking at other videos and seeing how the vocal is reflective of a background of the music video.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it was a really interesting thing that I've never noticed until I was watching your video. So I appreciate that little eye opener for myself. And now I'm looking at music videos completely different.
Nice. Well, thank you. I didn't think anyone would see those little videos. So the fact that you've taken a look and you thought they work with the songs means a lot, because I am not had to teach myself kind of how to do that. So you just you go to what you're drawn to, I suppose.
When your creative process, and we're going to talk about your piano playing, because that is you pull my heartstrings with with that piano. I grew up in a house with a piano. I don't know. I was an athlete. I just never stuck around and played it. But now I wish I did. If there was one instrument I knew how to play, it would be the piano. When you write music on the creative process, are you just banging on the keys, or do you come to the table with like a set of vocals, or do the vocals find the notes, or do the notes find the vocals? Because I believe as the piano as an instrument serves a deeper purpose compared to, say, something like a guitar.
Well, there's 88 keys on a piano, but there's only 12 notes in every instrument.
Right.
So I do think like there's maybe an element of the grass is always greener, because I would love to play the guitar, and it's convenient. There's a richness in guitar, and I think it's maybe the style or the way that you play it. Like you can get so many different things out of a guitar. Because I can sometimes feel limited with the piano, my comfort zone is just like melancholy with the piano, because it's an instrument that you very easily can access a lot of depth with. So I can find it a struggle to like get to the more lighthearted stuff with that as an instrument. But I've always played. I've had a love-hate relationship with practice growing up and learning, and like miserable piano teachers. But yeah, it lets me write, and it's usually the writing process for me is usually just a big combination of I'm feeling something out on the piano and lyrics come. But sometimes I am just, standing in my kitchen with a cup of tea and little bits of melody and lyrics come along, and then I have to work out how can I like map this out on the piano afterwards.
Like comparing the guitar and the piano, and maybe because I grew up with my father played piano, I could hear and I know where the hands are on the piano almost, and I don't, and I could almost replicate it. I don't know where somebody is on a guitar, on what fret they are.
Yeah.
And I do play the guitar. So I also find that pretty interesting. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was imprinted at an early age, with my father playing. But
sounds like you're destined to sit down and learn the piano, Rello.
I'm telling you, man. Every year
sounds like it's already at your fingertips. You need to just just teach yourself, just mess around.
Yeah, I don't know why I have a block, I don't know what it is.
It's the perfectionist mindset. I think I have the same thing with guitar. And when I started deciding I'm not going to force myself to learn it and I'm just going to use it as a writing instrument, I quite like the limitations that I have, or the parameters, and it makes me want to come back to it. And I think that then makes me better, because you want to return. Whereas if you're just sitting down at piano and it's like a mission, it's not inspiring to return to it. So I think keep it within your comfort zone, or keep it as like a really fun thing, because then bit by bit you will start expanding and getting better. It sounds like you definitely should be sat behind a piano.
I would love it. I'm totally envious, when I see that piano, and I can imagine myself being able to play it. I think you might have told me in the past you spent like 5 years in London.
Yeah.
Right? During that time in London, you did like part-time jobs, right? But you still played music. What was going on at that time with the highs and lows of your music career? What was the thing that kept the flame alive? You went from London back to Scotland. You were like taking it more of like, okay, look, I'm just going to handle this more as a hobby moving forward. Was it that perception and that energy with no expectations that you think you started seeing some of the success in music?
Yeah, I mean, what happened for me moving to London is I wanted to do a songwriting course, and London was one of the only places that was offering that. So I signed up just to do a year, and within that year got like a manager, had a music lawyer that was funding my first EP, and it felt like a film, just like country girl moves to big city, ticks the boxes. I was having like wonderful feedback from my peers and teachers, and we were writing 3 songs a week for this college, and I stayed to complete the full degree in songwriting. So that was a 3-year degree.
Wow.
And it was a lot of fun. Like I felt like I met my kindred spirits. I was introduced to a new industry, got to work on my art for the first time in my life and take it seriously. So it was a really exciting time, but then it's like it is a bit of a hamster wheel. And even in the music scene and doing part-time job where you're not a young professional, like being a young professional in London, that can be a full-on thing because you're just riding the tube, the subway every single day. And yeah, I just felt myself burning out and losing motivation and not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with music. And when stuff doesn't happen immediately, or if it doesn't even feel like it's happening in steps, it's it's really hard to find that like inner drive or to look behind you and think, what have I achieved in that time? So I think I got to the 5 year mark, and you're approaching like late 20s, you see the 30 mark coming around the corner, and you start doing the social scale of comparison. And you're just like, what have I done with my life? So yeah, I hopped back up to Scotland for the grounding and the outdoors and the family time and all the stuff that I felt I'd been missing, and had a bit of an epiphany of like, why does music have to pay the bills? Like, why is that the drive behind this? And it's when I released that EP. It's when I was doing all those videos of cycling on my bike, and I just kind of stopped thinking like it has to be perfect or it has to be that. I just wanted to deliver that final project of my Set Me Down EP. And yeah, it really flicked a switch in my head of like, this is all meant to be joyful, and the day that it doesn't become that, you need to start thinking like, why are you doing it? So it was a big release, I think, kind of stepping back for a while.
You know, I always say that on all my interviews. I mean, if you're not having fun, just stop.
Yeah.
You know, you just stop. You know, I'm having so much fun. I don't really get caught up much, you know, in the expectations. I know that what I'm doing is helpful. I know what I'm doing. I'm having fun. I'm learning. I get to, you know, have relationships, you know, with you, and we get to maybe introduce this music to somebody who doesn't know about you that might change them forever, because as music often does. Right. Could you talk a little bit about like in your Web3 community, how many people do you have like now on your Discord that you do these weekly live streams in there? How's that grown, and what's the feedback from that, and what made you think of doing that on the reg?
So I'd kind of seen this formula from other artists in front of me in the music scene in Web3, doing live streams and offering like tangible bits of utility with the project. And it's how I'd been building up my audience anyway, was performing on Spaces on Twitter. So it just felt like a really natural progression to have that like quality time together. So yeah, every Thursday I do a live stream for my community, and I feel like I need to caveat my Discord, which is basically a desert. But feel free to come through and say hello in there. But I do have a kind of Twitter group chat, and a mailer, and lots of places that we're all like chatting together. But yeah, Discord, if you have an artifact, do come through, and you'll always find a link on a Thursday, and there's always people milling around, but it's taken me a lot of time to start loving the Discord. Just gonna say that. Yeah.
Well, I do have an artifact, you know. I do.
Yeah.
I love it. And I've been to a few of them when I can during the day, and I enjoy it, you know. I love it. Have you ever thought about extending it outside of the Discord as an additional utility to maybe listeners? Maybe not all of them that you're doing each and every month, but maybe once a month you take one of your Discord live feeds and you put it out to the public to attract more people to get back into Discord to visit those other ones that aren't public.
I mean, this is why I'm friends with people like Rallo, because they're like, this is the marketing plan for this month, Emma. We're going to be taking this to the metaverse. Yeah, I love that idea. And do you know what? I've got the best group of people around me, because anytime I talk about doing public facing stuff or bringing more people in, they're like, do it. They're not, it's not like a closed off circle where there's any like, no, this is for us. So I already know that my community would be so up for opening the doors to something like a live stream. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it can't hurt. And
it can't hurt.
Right. And, and look, as long as you're extending the reach, I mean, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but, the older I get, the less of a perfectionist I am. I do, working with my team and a lot of things that we do on the marketing side, it's funny because I get yelled at because maybe the image that I posted wasn't 1080i, it was 720. And you got to respect that, because when, like you said, when you surround yourself with a great team and people whose core competencies are not your own, well, that in fact is why there is a team. Truly, there's really nothing more interoperable than broadcasting in Web3. I mean, you could drop an NFT on every space, on every platform, but that's really locked on that platform. We're taking a single live stream and broadcasting it across them all, and I think that's really the secret sauce to being able to extend that reach, especially in the early days of Web3, where the waiting pool of our community is very, very small. It's small, right? It's the same 20 or 30 artists, that everyone speaks about. So there will be a time, probably in the very, very near future, as we onboard more in Web 2 into Web 3, that's going to, bring in a lot more heads and, a lot more energy and some fresh new music. And I'm excited about that too, which brings me to my next question. Like, how do you see the NFTs evolving as like additional layers of utility as the NFT itself? Like, could it be, like, for example, I know a lot, like for the most obvious, like, it's an NFT, but it's also a ticket.
Yeah.
Right. Could it also contain a GLB file, which is a virtual environment, right? Where if you hold the NFT, it essentially gains you access into this virtual performance stage. Like, how do you see it changing? Because so many wallets, so many platforms, how are we going to ever onboard more people into Web3 if you don't have someone in your community helping you to onboard you? You need that community to support you. Without it, people are just going to get frustrated. And I'm sure that's a lot what's happening because of what I just said, like having the same artists and musicians and projects just on X. You're not really seeing too many more over the last year. I just think there's a crash and burn feeling happening right now in Web3. And so that's why one of the things that we've decided to do was to build a university inside of the music district. We get some professors and speakers and have accredited college points that can go towards, your resume. And that's the long-term goal there. But I think there has to be that education, that support. Without it, it's just, I don't see it happening. Or technology just evolves where it's just a click of a button and then boom, you got it. So one or the other are going to happen. You either be educated or AI is going to come in and it's going to be so intrinsically evolved that you really don't need to do much, but other than just hit a button to get done what needs to be done.
I mean, I'm really excited to hear what you're building, and with the education side specifically. I don't know where I see NFTs going. It feels like the form that they're in at the moment and the way that we've all been using them is in its most like primitive state. And that's really just proof of concept of this is something that's scarce. This is proof of provenance and ownership and bragging rights, and really it's a way of identifying like the OGs and who your core community is. But the way that I see it evolving is like being interactive with other platforms. Like, I'm just thinking of an example just now where I'm building on a platform called Bonfire at the moment.
We're partners with Bonfire as well.
Okay, yeah. But that's where I have my website, because I think token gating certain things and certain experiences, and having the NFTs have an active role in being able to literally get through the kind of digital gates, and kind of come to life in that way. And yeah, I'm really interested in like dynamic NFTs, and just thinking between those lines of either having, I love your point of like building a virtual world, and that would be a dream for me to have like an album come to life as a visual experience, because I've got my eyes kind of set on an album for into early next year. But yeah, I think the realms of possibilities for what we currently know as NFTs extend way further than how we're using them. And that's maybe just because of the current infrastructure and what it takes to build some of the stuff that we would love to start using them for.
It really is moving so quick and so fast. But to your point with Bonfire, I mean, special shout out to them. We met with them, and they were kind enough to, give me these, some kind of membership for a certain amount of time to check out, because I didn't want to start building websites for artists. I literally wanted just to take, I'll have my PFPs, like I think I might have showed you. I'll have another one for you, but that'll click onto your website on Bonfire.
Amazing.
So that way that's building the community up, right? They're helping me, they're helping artists, we're all promoting each other. So in a very similar way, companies like Bonfire and Metaverse Radio and Vita TV becoming such it's a movement. 100% of my mind is on growing this to one of the biggest Web3 broadcast companies ever. Right now it is. I don't think that anybody else is building this. I don't know of anybody else building a Web3 network. So it's just like a really exciting time. And like when we say we're pioneering this stuff, it's like we're the architects of the future of Web3 music, and helping our listeners, like whether they're on the radio or listening online or downloaded one of the podcasts. It's such an education towards visuals. I feel like visuals do a better job of explaining anything that we do than any words that I could say or share, One of the cool things I wanted to talk to you about is, Artifacts was great, but you had 5 other projects that you also sold out on the blockchain. Yeah. What were those other projects, and what's that secret sauce? Like, is there something that you're doing that other artists might not be doing that could help them in, getting a similar success?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, which is understanding the power of relationships and connection and community, which I just didn't think I had access to. I thought I just had that label mindset of like you're catapulted into a big public stage, and then you have bands that buy merch. Whereas when you are really embracing the indie life, it's really like one person by person building your tribe of people. And that's what I did, just through social audio, which really was the game changer for me, which I'm talking about Twitter Spaces, being able to turn up as myself and being able to just organically move on to like let's play a song. It gives people a real like fast track impact of who you are as a person and an artist. And often it leads to a two-way conversation rather than just you broadcasting to someone. It's like they can come up and talk, or you can interact in comments or DMs. It's just much more of a well-rounded process. So that's how I built up relationships and audience. And I waited until I had a demand of people asking me for music NFTs. And once I had people coming to me, I thought, okay, I'm going to cater to this tiny group of people. So I did 10 editions. Then I did 20 editions, and like a lot of the same people were buying up these first collections. And then I pushed it and I think I did a first drop on Sound at like 60 editions. And that small jump to 60 felt like a leap to me, because it wasn't just immediately snapped up. I did a little bit of, that was my second drop on Sound, and building up to 1,000 pieces with artifacts came from months and months of touring spaces and talking to people and performing and really being present. So it's something that people can use across the board, in or outside of Web3, is just direct to fan, direct to consumer, treat people like human beings, and just try and turn up in a natural way, like as a kind of conversation, rather than trying to sell people something. Because hopefully if you come across, if you communicate well, people end up wanting to partake in what you're doing, and they come to you. So I think that's kind of the model I've tried to go by since learning that was connecting with people.
Being a famous artist is never going to be the same ever again, because there is really not a lot of a community. It's more of a following, in Web 2. And I believe that's how music is evolving. It's going from following to community. And it doesn't necessarily translate for those who have been successful in Web 2 to automatically have success in Web 3, because there's truly no community that they've built. They've established a following, and that's a huge difference between the support of an artist, whether they're a part of a community or do they have a following. And being in Web 3, it's all about the community, because the ones that are coming in, just based on my stories that I've heard, they get frustrated, and these artists in Web 2 who did really, really well, and they turn around and they're just like they're having like temper tantrums essentially. But helping them to better understand, like, look, it's not just about being a good artist. It's not just, it's a small, look how many layers there is to this stuff, like there's so many different layers. And, being just the artist is essentially the reason why, these record labels took as much as they did. One of the other things here that I wanted to speak to you about is NFT NYC. So talk to us a little bit about what's going on for NFT NYC, April 3rd, April 5th, right? The Javits Center.
Yeah, I think I did NFT NYC last year and was a speaker on the main stage with 4 other artists building in the space. And it was a really kind of special moment, and to go on and do a private show for collectors. We just saw how impactful that was, and how just powerful it felt to all come together that way, and to truly put music at the forefront of what we're doing, because it's so experiential. It's so it just translates, it kind of cuts across so many boundaries. So we try and do it as much as we can now, I think. And I really hold Violetta Zeroni in very high regard. She's one of my best friends. And being able to do a show with her, this kind of intimate show that celebrates our community again, I know is going to be a highlight going into NFT NYC. So it's a kind of small, intimate venue that we just really liked the look of.
Are you speaking at NFT NYC?
I'm performing.
Oh, you are?
So yeah, I'm performing on the Wednesday, the 3rd at 12:30.
Okay.
On the Token Track stage. If you're there, come and swing by, or if anyone is going to be there, come and say hello.
Wednesday, 12:30, April 3rd.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then your event is April 5th.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a nice early one. It's doors 4:30. We all know the NFT NYC after party schedule on a Friday night, so we'll be the pre and get everybody doing a little ease in with the cozy vibes, and then off into the night.
The fun. Who would you suggest we would highlight on one of our next broadcasts? It's a new question that I'm sort of integrating into some of my questions. We're trying to highlight the best Web3 artists. So essentially combing through hundreds of artists a week, right? We do one artist spotlight a month. And I figured, I should be asking, my friends, the artists, who is it that we should be looking at next, outside of your immediate circle? Because I know most of your artist circles, right? I know all them, but somebody who may not be as big, right? We want to help someone who doesn't have a community but has as equal a greater a talent, right? So we're looking for and to support those artists as well. Like, who do you know anybody?
So it depends. When you said like not in my immediate circle, I was like, God damn it, because that is like those are all the people I know. Do you know
Right.
Mike Bass?
Who?
Mike Bass.
Mike Bass. What's his? Does he have? No, I don't actually.
So Mike Bass was someone in the early days of doing all these kind of spaces. He was just there every single day, and it's only kind of recently where he's doing lots of things like IRL, and he's releasing traditionally on streaming, but he has really been there from day one, and I've seen his music progress. I've seen him develop as a songwriter, and he's done some really cool stuff with generative art and music. He is an expert on live streams and playing live, and I recently did a collaboration with him on a song called Spirit Away, which is on streaming, and he played that to me during a live stream, and I was just blown away by it and kind of forced my way into the song by asking him if he wanted me to try some backing vocals, for which he was like, yes, let's do it. So it won't be on my YouTube, it'll be on Mike's, or it'll be on streaming Mike Bass Spirit Away, and it's featuring Emma Miller.
Okay.
But it's a really beautiful song, and I really rate Mike, and he's someone that's just navigating that kind of Web 2, Web 3 blend, but very, very accomplished musician.
And where's he from?
He is from somewhere in the States.
I see. Let's see here. I'm on his website now. I'm gonna
Michigan? Maybe Michigan.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely check him out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that one.
Yeah, also definitely dive outside of your circle. There's a lot of artists that need you. I know it can.
Sure.
I know it can get very comfortable within the circles that we run because you have a big community behind you. It's like giving back. I think it's important.
Yeah, I think that happens so I host a regular space. I used to do daily spaces, and I host a regular space every Wednesday at 5 p.m. UK, it was midday. I think it's now 1 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Okay.
And that is always a great opportunity to bring new people on stage. And back when I was hosting kind of daily spaces, I feel like you've definitely crossed paths with Alice. If you haven't, definitely 100% check out Alice, who's a UK very talented artist, musician. It was through my spaces that she kind of came into the Web3 scene.
Awesome, love it. Yeah, I love it. That's amazing.
She's got some incredible stuff to visuals that would be awesome in your broadcast as well.
What we'll end up doing when we broadcast, we'll have your socials, we'll have all this information for April 3rd, which is Wednesday, April 3rd, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Token Tracks at the Javits Center, right? Then April 5th, what's the name of the venue?
The Red Bar.
Yeah, the Red Bar. I'll post it up on musicdistrict.io so people can come check it out. That's where I'll definitely be. And we'll keep all this information in one good place, and we'll drive people over to our partner site over there, Bonfire, which I think it's great that you're on there. How do you enjoy adapting to sort of building on there?
It's good. I'm still kind of in the early days, and it's a little bit frustrating just with my ambition with it there's so many things I want to realize and make possible, but it's like I learned WordPress, and that took me a really long time, and now I'm kind of relearning this, but with an added Web3 element of I've got Pools token on there that I plan that I've not kind of done a official launch for yet, but that exists. And I want to be able to token gate certain experiences. So there's so much potential with that platform. It's just getting to grips with it, and they're so new. I think it's a tiny team, but I do rate what they're doing, and I probably someone that we both have in our circle is Steph, and she is always kind of advocating artists to have tools, not platforms. And I actually think that Bonfire is both. It's like a great toolkit to have. If they can, if we can all just like help each other refine how to use it.
Yeah, I'm in the same spot as you. I mean, learning, and a lot of my time goes into this equipment that we buy. I never built a computer before. I never bought. I have an X32 over here. It's a 32 channel mixer. Never use. I mean, I use it all the time now, but I never messed around with any mixers back in the day.
Yeah.
So a lot of time late night, you're just sitting there watching YouTube channels, and then it's just another thing that you have to sort of dedicate time to learning something new. But we should actually start a community. We should talk to Bonfire and see if we could do like a one-on-one once a week, on how to use a lot of the tools on their website. Because like you, I did get a bit frustrated, and I was just like, but I'm getting there. And just before the hour's up, Emma, anything else that you want to share with the community, to the listeners, anybody or anything? The stage is all yours.
Yeah, I think the thing I have ahead of me this year that I am so excited about is the first blockchain and music event that I'm hosting in Scotland up in the Northeast. And it is a complete celebration of the artifacts community and what we've built. And it's very kind of exclusive in the sense that it's all the way in the northeast of Scotland, so you really have to commit to coming.
Maybe that's my door. I mean, that's my opportunity right now.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I do want to extend the invitation to anyone, because whether like that specific project, I do see it means so much to me personally, because it represents so much of how I came into the space and the community that found me. So that is like my anchor in how I go about kind of building. And yeah, if whether you're just discovering it, I think I've made it fairly accessible there's certain traits and songs that you have to collect to qualify for an invitation. But it's all on my Twitter, and I'm sure it'll be on my website as well. But it's a 2-day experience with me in my family home in the northeast of Scotland, with people that are flying in already from all around the world: Hawaii, Romania, Germany, the States. I know Hawaii's in the States, but it's so far away. And yeah, we're
the 51st state.
The 51st state. Thank you. Yeah, I'm hosting a really special gig showcase panel at Gordon Castle, which is an amazing venue. It's got this award-winning walled garden, and we're going to be in this glass-fronted area. So we're having a panel discussion, which hopefully will get local people curious, and my artifacts crew will be there. But that's open to the public. It's going to be ticketed. Tickets are going to go on sale later in April for kind of UK public. And then there's a showcase following on from that with 2 other fantastic musicians that are in the space, including Belmont and Josh Savage. And yeah, the rest of the time I'm going to be hanging out with the community, doing VIP whiskey tours and walks on the beach, and then a living room experience of, music and cheese and wine kind of vibe. So
that's awesome.
That's weekend of August 10th.
Well,
that wasn't anything.
Thank you, Emma. You're the best. I'm going to edit. I really appreciate you taking the time. You're an extraordinary artist. You're a fantastic singer. I love your lyrics. You're one of my favorite piano players. I just love everything about you, and I wish you all the best and nothing but positive vibes and nothing but good energy around you along your journey. And we're here to support you along the way. Yeah, 100%.
Thank you. Well, your support means a huge amount to me, and all the love I am sending back to you. Hi, I'm Emma Miller, independent singer-songwriter from Scotland, and I'm here with musicdistrict.io discovering new music and pioneering music's future in Web3, one broadcast at a time.
Honey, I know there's something in the darkness eating at your unrest, making you grow cold. You know you can leave anytime you want to. Don't think I'll forget you, even when you're gone. Go out and find what you are looking for. I might just move on. Know that the answer is out there for us both, and our time was beautiful. Only the shade, only the light spaces take it away and bring me to new places that I've not seen. Something to soothe me. Honey, I know there's something in the darkness eating at your unrest, making you grow cold. You know you can leave anytime you want to. Don't think I'll forget you, even when you're gone. Go out and find what you are looking for, and I might just move on. Know that the answer is up there for us both, and our time was beautiful. Honey, I know there's something in the darkness eating at your unrest, making you grow cold.